Welcome to the SVG-TV news for Wednesday, January 5th. I'm Khalil Kato with the details. There were minor hiccups for the reopening of schools island-wide on Monday for face-to-face instruction. This is according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who on his weekly appearance on NBC Radio today said hiccups were noted at some secondary schools but are being ironed out, and that he is happy that students were able to return to their classrooms.
I am happy to see that we're back at school. I think there was one secondary school that we had. I don't know what happened there. It's a school owned and operated by a religious denomination, but of course the state is also involved, and I think they were continuing some blended teaching. I don't know what has happened up to this morning, but I spoke to the chief, the permanent secretary on Monday, and I spoke to him yesterday. And the only things untoward which were reported that at two schools, well, you know what I'm saying, there are two schools of the nearly 100 educational institutions, and we put in the community college into that. They had a water problem, which was swiftly reported to CWSA, and they were dealing with that. I don't know the particular detail.
The Prime Minister defended the government's decision to resume full face-to-face classes when the country is still in a pandemic. He noted that when there was a spike in COVID-19 cases early in 2021, no vaccines were being administered.
Now, last year, at this time, couldn't return. Remember, we had an extraordinary spike in December and January, back into February. Huge spike. We were just about getting some vaccines. Though there is an uptick, we don't see it, at least it is not yet of a nature compared to last year at this time. And I think, and a lot of people think that the vaccination program has something to do with this matter, and the Omicron, and we don't know quite the extent yet of the transmission. It is clear from all reports all around us that though it may lead to hospitalizations.
As it relates to teachers' turnout for the face-to-face instructions, the Prime Minister said there were no complaints.
Who had abandoned their jobs, or those who had taken early retirement, that we have replaced those teachers, at least so I've been advised. You may have, I suspect, here and there, some individual challenge of one kind or another. But the Minister of Education reported to me that well, at least the permanent secretary reported to me, the resumption has been pretty orderly, and things were under control. Children were getting their education. Students were getting their education.
The Prime Minister said that the Minister of Education gave an update to Cabinet today on the full resumption of face-to-face classes and the teachers' turnout. Government has awarded 61 scholarships to students who excelled in the 2021 Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE, and associated degree programs offered at the SVG Community College. The announcement was made on radio today by the Prime Minister.
From CAPE, 7 of them are national scholars, 15 of them are national exhibitions, 5 of them are bursaries. Then, in relation to the associate degrees, we have 1 national exhibition and 3 special awards. And special awards, they are at the level, the value of national exhibitions, and 30 bursaries. This is from the associate degree.
While the national scholarships are costing the government millions of dollars, Prime Minister Gonzalez said even in a pandemic and with the economy contracting, they had to ensure the awards were offered.
These are 5-year scholarships. They're valued at the 5-year program in medicine at Cave Hill, which is about, at the current level, it's $560,000. 7 of them. You're talking about, you do the math, you're talking about $4 million. That's the ballpark you're talking about. People think these things are not cheap. And then the 15 national exhibitions through Cape, and the other 4. One from Associate Degree plus 3 special awards, and I'll come to them. Those are 3 years, valued as against what the comparable number would be, comparable value would be for a 3-year program. In relation to the bursaries are $25,000 annually.
The Prime Minister noted that the national scholarships may increase to 8 as they await the final CAPE results from a student who had to query his grades. He also noted that this year the government was offering a Grenadian a scholarship and explained the reason for doing so.
It's an award which we have given to a Grenadian student who is 26. She came here a couple of years ago. She has some family connections with St. Vincent, but she's not of Vincentian by descent, for instance. But you may recall, I don't know if you remember this, a few years ago, after the hurricane in Grenada in 2004, a student came over. Remember, we took some students in from Grenada, and one of the students had come second in the CAPE exams, and we gave her a national scholarship. You may recall, we called it the Sir Sidney Gunn Monroe National Scholarship, because Sir Sidney was a Grenadian by birth who had come here and made his life and made his contribution.
48 positive COVID-19 cases were reported from 222 samples collected on Sunday, resulting in a positivity rate of 21.6%. 11 positive rapid antigen results were also reported on Sunday from flu clinics. No patients were admitted for COVID at the Argyle Isolation Facility. However, 16 were admitted to the COVID-19 ward at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, 2 of whom are vaccinated and 14 unvaccinated. There were no new deaths, and 27 recoveries were noted over the reporting period. 603 cases are currently active and 83 persons with COVID-19 have died. 6,939 cases of COVID-19 and 5,353 recoveries have been reported in St. Vincent and the Grenadines since March 2020. The Omicron variant, which was recently detected in SVG in a vaccinated traveler from the United States, is said to be the fastest spreading virus to humankind, according to U.S. infectious disease specialists. And local infectious disease specialist Dr. Gerald Thompson said the reason why it spreads faster is because of the large amounts of virus spewed into the atmosphere by an infected person, hence making Omicron more transmissible than the Delta variant.
And as a result, it's not causing so much hospitalization and severe illness. But when someone coughs, their cough, the amount of viral particles in the respiratory droplets seems to be huge amounts. So that's why there's increased transmissibility, because when somebody coughs, they're coughing out a lot of virus. I think that for Omicron, we absolutely need higher antibody levels, and that's why boosters are recommended.
Dr. Thompson said Omicron does not cause severe illness, as it does not affect the lungs like other variants. However, persons still need to be cautious.
Miscommunicable variant, and we are seeing what's called a decoupling of cases and deaths. Whereas the Delta had a high rate of death, the Omicron seems to have a lot of cases, huge amount of cases, doubling time of 3 days, 4 days, and so. But it's causing milder illnesses. And these mild illnesses typically that of cough, congestion, a runny nose, with fatigue, mainly what we call upper respiratory infection. The Omicron seems to have a predilection for attacking the upper airways as opposed to the lung tissue, whereas the Delta was attacking lung tissue.
Stressing the need for more antibodies to fight off the virus, Dr. Thompson said though Omicron is a mild variant, the vaccinated and unvaccinated can still contract the virus. Hence the need for booster shots and for the unvaccinated to take the jabs, especially as persons still have to deal with long COVID.
Over a period of time, your antibody levels that be derived from the vaccine start to fall off. That's understandable. But what happens is that if you are able to boost it up for that period of time that the level is high, you are well protected. There's a misunderstanding that you need one antibody for each virus. No, you need lots of antibodies to surround and literally sequester and handcuff that virus, so that having high levels of antibodies will be sufficient. One of the big things we had been seeing in 2021 is the long COVID. The Delta had been causing a lot of long COVID symptoms, chronic fatigue, irregular heartbeats, headaches, brain fog, all those sort of things, loss of taste and smell for a long period of time. A lot of people, almost 15-20%, are living with long COVID. Omicron, we are not sure really whether it leads to high levels of long COVID.
It has been noted by the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Simone Kieser-Beach, on NBC Radio that with the spike in COVID-19 cases, it is likely that the Omicron variant, it is the Omicron variant that is quickly spreading across SVG. This country's 2-year tenure as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council has come to an end. SVG was elected as a non-permanent member in June 2019 and officially assumed its position on January 2, 2020. Which ended on December 31st, 2021. On November 1st, 2020, SVG assumed the presidency of the United Nations Security Council, the UNSC, for 1 month. The stint was the first and only presidency during the country's tenure on the council and formed part of its responsibility as a non-permanent member. On Tuesday, Albania, Brazil, Gabon, Ghana, and the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, took their seats at the table as the new non-permanent members of the UNSC. They replaced SVG, Estonia, Niger, Tunisia, and Vietnam. The UNSC has 5 permanent members in Britain, China, France, Russia, and the United States, and 10 non-permanent members elected for 2-year terms by the UN General Assembly. 5 non-permanent members are replaced every year. The RSVG police force has taken on 100 new recruits and another 20 will be added shortly. This is according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who said that the recruitment process will be finalized by next week.
The Commissioner of Police and his team, they recruited 100 young persons, predominantly males, but some females too, as police recruits for training to be police officers. We're going to do a further 30 or 40 or thereabouts, maybe more, in 6 months' time, May, June, to take account of persons who on an ongoing basis exit the police force now.
The Prime Minister said that the 100 recruits are catered for in the 2022 budget estimates, noting that initially the number was 80, but they saw the need to have more persons trained as police officers. On the issue of officers abandoning their posts due to the government's vaccination policy, the Prime Minister said that figure stands at 14, and there were 32 early retirements in 2021.
32 who, in the year 2021, who took early retirement or who resigned. This happens from time to time. I suspect some of them took early retirement or resigned, a few of them, because they decided they weren't going to take the vaccine now. Okay. But in the police force, if you do 10 years, you can take a handshake, a golden handshake, resign, go. If you do 20 years, you get a golden handshake and you get pension appropriate to the number of years. But several persons who resigned were like in the force 30 years, 31 years. One of them I think was 32 years. Near to their 33 and a third maximum now. So those positions are also to be filled.
The charitable organization Jehovah Jireh Ministries continues to touch the lives of many needy persons here in SVG and across the region. The organization, founded in 2007, recently hosted a Christmas drive for children of the Gome Methodist, Barley Anglican and Government, and the Myro Government schools. Founding member Esther Fife said that the charity work was a vision of her mother and that they are happy to assist those in need, with plans to expand their work on the ground here.
We have a lot of feet on the ground here. Mr. Beresford and Anna Phillips, our feet on the ground, taking things, clearing stuff from customs, etc. So we are really happy to be able to be a blessing to others who are really in need, because we find that, especially now with the pandemic and everything, there's so much growing need all over the world. So I'm just glad to be in St. Vincent for, it's been 13 years I've been back, since I've been back, and just to really meet the kids face to face and meet the principals and the people that I work with on the ground while I'm away.
Fife said they are also hoping to partner with other nonprofit organizations to help meet the needs of as many people as possible across the island.
Well, right now, that is why I'm here. I really want to not just connect with the schools, because I know the schools was a part of Mom's heart. The kids' education, making sure they have books to read. So we really started, I think it was 2020, we sent a lot of books to the library in Myro, right, to help the library there so kids can have books to read. So my intention in coming to St. Vincent really was to partner with the ministry of education, social services, and really getting connects here so that I can really target the people who really need. Yes, that's been successful so far, because, again, the people I work with here who I've known, because I lived here, they, sometimes help me to identify the areas that need the most, or the schools that I more need. That's how I started with the Byerly and the Gome.